My name is Kevin Lynn. I'm one of the co-founders of the Center for Progressive Urban Politics. And today I'm doing something I don't typically do, is just kind of sit in front of the camera and speak. I'm going to want to talk about something that I think is really important. And that brings me to a statute entitled SB 754. SB 754 was introduced on August 16th in the Pennsylvania General Assembly. According to the language of the bill, it's known as the Commonwealth Response Cost Reimbursement Act. Now, the statute defines itself as an act providing for liability for public safety response costs. Now, this on its face sounds benign, but in fact, it in no way defines what this act is. This act is what I term a PPK, a pipeline protest killer. The wording of the bill begins by mentioning the protests of the Dakota Access Pipeline and that response costs regarding the demonstrations total roughly $38 million. Now, they go on to define their meaning of a demonstration as, and get this because it's pretty broad. Now, it includes, what a demonstration is, includes it's a public assembly, a meeting or gathering, a rally or protest event, a political rally or event, a demonstration, a speech making, marching, the holding of vigils or even religious services, and all other like forms of conduct, the primary purpose of which is to express activity or the communication or expression of views or grievances, which has the effect, intent, or propensity to draw a crowd of onlookers. Unbelievable that this thing was even put into a statute or put into a bill. Finally, it declares that if a person is convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor offense in connection with a demonstration, and typically you are charged with a misdemeanor if arrested during a demonstration, that they are responsible for public safety response costs incurred by a state agency or political subdivision during the response to a demonstration. And there is no limit to the amount they're deemed responsible for, only that they are ordered to pay the reasonable costs associated with the response. This is incredible. And it's plain to see that this bill could be used as a form of protest intimidation. Actually, yeah, could be, it is protest intimidation. If you try to demonstrate against something, they can arrest you for phony charges and fine you thousands of dollars. Legislation like this, if somehow found constitutional, which I doubt, but still could have the far-reaching consequences for those who wish to freely assemble and make their grievances known. I mean, this is amazing to me. I mean, how else are we going to stop corporate overreach other than to protest and demonstrate? For us, the incredibly telling part of the bill is the mention of the Dakota Access Pipeline protest. Now, 3 pipeline projects are currently under consideration by federal and state regulators here in Pennsylvania. They're the Mariner East 2, the Penn East, and the Atlantic Sunrise. They are all currently being opposed by their local communities. And these communities are citing legitimate public health and safety concerns. And when you look at the ineffectiveness of the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, you can see why the only thing open to these families is to protest, much the way they've done at Standing Rock. Now, this isn't just in Pennsylvania. An eerily similar bill was proposed in the Minnesota State House this year and is even more dangerously vague than Bill 754. For instance, it states that a person is civilly liable for public safety response costs if the person is convicted of participating in an unlawful assembly under Section 609.705. I'm not familiar with Minnesota state statutes, but, or being present at an unlawful assembly under Section 609.715, or committing a public nuisance under Section 609.74. So they got you literally 3 ways to Sunday there if they want to make you liable for costs. There's also been legislation proposed in North Carolina. General Assembly Bill HB 249 decrees that those who impede or disrupt regular course of business, then they are guilty of economic terrorism and are liable for public safety response costs. Can you believe it? Now, the wording of all 3 bills would mean that you could be fined enormous sums to allegedly compensate for the cost of public safety officials' response. And there's no criteria on how that is tabulated. Now, coincidentally, Minnesota is currently considering a new oil pipeline project from Enbridge Energy, similar to the Dakota Access Pipeline. The proposed Line 3 route would intersect the ancestral land of a Native American tribe, which uses that land to hunt, farm, and fish. In a unsurprising turn of events, North Carolina is also currently reviewing the plans for a pipeline project. The Atlantic Coast Pipeline is its name. It would span from North Carolina to West Virginia. Now, concerns over gas and oil lines are on the rise, which no doubt concern the energy companies that are creating these pipelines. With the memory of the months-long battle against the Dakota Access Pipeline still looming large in the industry, these companies have apparently decided to wage a campaign of political suppression against the communities they actually claim to be serving. Now, these companies are no strangers to traditional strong-arm tactics, though. In Pennsylvania, in addition to calling in their chits with their pets in our assembly, vocal opponents of the Mariner East 2 pipeline have received anonymous death threats. Numerous protests against pipelines have exposed legitimate public safety concerns, and probably a more accurate term would be dangers created by these massive projects. Natural gas development has been tied to a number of health risks, such as contamination of groundwater and farmland, the release of carcinogens and toxins through air pollution, and the danger of leaks and or explosions. This includes the tragic explosion that caused 2 fatalities at Minnehaha Academy. Gas distribution lines have experienced at least 41 major accidents in Minnesota alone since 2004. So again, there are legitimate concerns for the safety of our communities. And leaving that behind, from an economic standpoint, fracked natural gas and the infrastructure to move it efficiently to ports along the coast is a loser for Pennsylvania, and certainly the citizens of Pennsylvania, who have to absorb all the externalized costs, such as air pollution and groundwater contamination, while these corporations are able to sell their product now at big profits in Europe and Asia. And that is the point of these pipelines. It is not to serve the people of the United States. Federal and state governments should also not be behaving like paid thugs in the service of corporations when they do things like lob tear gas and shoot rubber bullets into crowds. Nor should, like the Pennsylvania EPA, approve these projects without considering environmental and public health risks. And in closing, understand and let me be very clear. These pipeline protest killing PPK pieces of legislation are an assault on our homes and our Constitution. And going forward, we'll keep you a close eye on SB 754 as it winds its way through the Assembly, and we'll keep everyone updated. Our immediate goal is to stop SB 754. The secondary goal is to take a close look at the bill's framers with an eye to primarying them out the next time they're up for re-election. And that's about it. I want to thank you for your time today. Again, take a look at the comments section for more information. We'll certainly be updating you, and we will be posting a copy of the bill in its entirety to our website. Kevin Lynn for the Center for Progressive Urban Politics signing out, and have a great day. Bye-bye.